It's great to see you guys again. I'm looking forward to today's discussion. But before we start the discussion, I want to check in with all of you and just find out how you're doing, how your week was, what interesting things happened, what were the downers, what happened with you this week. Florence, I'll start with you.
Guess what? Fine. It was the last week at work as a contractor at PM. I've told you that story before. But
I saw your tweet. It was very sad.
Oh my God, it was a sad. It was sad. It was sad. But let me tell you, my boss sent me a card. Thank you for being just brilliant. Sorry, couldn't have a
wow.
Why? Love, Alistair. Do you know what this is? That guy documented my work in a photo.
Oh my God.
Right from when I joined as an intern in July 2018.
Oh.
That guy documented my book.
Wow, Florence,
he put snapshots of some of the videos that I've edited, campaigns that I've been working at, when I went to the field, striking, oh God. This was me on World Population Day in 2018, July.
Your hair had barely started to grow. That's a long time ago.
Thank you.
I know.
Everything, the condoms that I made, I designed, all the photos that I've been taking all over the years, and I want to have photos. And my leaflet that I made, I was overwhelmed. I wanted to share. And then, of course, he's vegan, so he's hopeful we'll make a vegan of you yet.
Why don't those guys, everything I was going to share about the week seems, useless after what you're sharing. But why don't they have like a branch in the US where you're going that you can then continue to work with them? It's like something you're really, really brilliant at.
I know. And we've been talking about such possibilities as well. Trust me. Like if I go to the US, maybe I could find a project which we can still continue to work on. Guys, I talk about this and I wouldn't stop. So I'll pass on the baton to someone else. I hope you don't share sad news, but please go ahead.
Oh God, I just wanted to say you win the employer of the century of everything record. God, you had such a wonderful team behind you. But I of course know that you must have given them all your Florence in there. So yeah.
I did my best. And actually the week was so structured, it was so productive. Like I finished working on this series on SDGs. I edited over 10 videos, chap, and Anne, it's your moment. I said I won't stop talking about it. So you better stop me.
But you know what we've done, Florence? We've made this one now about you because what you've actually just shared is extremely important. When I think about your track record when it comes to work, and I think about what it was like when you were with us at NTV, and you were this pusher, this go-getter, like projects have to be done, like these ideas, you're unashamed and unapologetic about the things you're doing, the things you're passionate about. Remember the time she came with condoms in the newsroom and she was distributing to everybody because she believed in the stories she was doing, and so people had to. I think it speaks so much about the kind of person you are, and also that kind of person is noticed everywhere you go.
I'm so proud of you, Florence, because some of us, when we left the media, were like, oh my God, I'm so done with working hard. I'm done with this whole pressure, putting in everything. I still give my best, but I am laid back. I went into the NGO kind of laid back syndrome, which is really comfortable and annoying, especially to your clients and your bosses and whatever. But you, Florence, you were the only, I swear, you're the only person who has left the media and still carried that energy of the media into your office job. And it's paying off. It's amazing.
Yeah.
You keep it up. You still do videos. You still do the editing. You still do the writing. You still do everything.
Thank you, MTV. Anyway,
you were the kind of person the world needs. And you were fitting in so well. So Really, your week takes it all. Do we still want to talk about your week? Josephine, do you want to talk about your week? How was your
No. But before we move on to our topic, I just want to say that I was very sad when Florence left NTV that time, because it just felt like. But then I also knew Florence is the person who she'll come back. Like, she's not the person who is going to disappear and then, no, she'll come back. Like, she's very straight. But now that I see what you're doing, I am not sad at all that you left the media, because I think it would have put you in a box. But what you're doing now allows you to do media, do this, to like do so many things and explore so many things. So I'm really, really excited about what's happening with you. And your boss was spot on. Well, I don't want to talk about my week because I just feel like it's been a real dump. So let's go to what our conversation is for today. I was speaking to a friend of mine last week, and she spoke about struggling sometimes to find the push to leave. That is a whole discussion on apathy and depression. And I wanted us to speak about when you find yourself in a situation where life just isn't making sense, when life doesn't make sense and you feel purposeless, you care little about anything, and you can't bring yourself to do anything. Have you guys been there? Have you experienced it? When you start asking yourself, what's the point? And you're tempted to give up, or you actually give up.
I am there a lot of times. I know you guys see me as this happy person most of the time. But when I'm home, when I look around, there are all these moments that they come and announce uninvited out of nowhere sometimes, and then I'm feeling all this low. My babies are there making fun, and I'm not even interested. What kind of mother is that even? But I've learned to acknowledge. For me, the first step is to acknowledge that, Anna, you're now, okay, it's coming on, it has come on, you're feeling low. I give credence, I give validity to the feeling, because I know most of us, we don't want to feel that. And even when you go on Google, it will tell you, distract, get some distraction. And yes, I'm coming to that. They do work, but first I acknowledge that yes, you're feeling low, and because I know if I'm feeling low, I'm going to let it out on the people nearest to me, the closest to me, my babies, my family. I'm going to hurt them. So I first sit down with that feeling and acknowledge, and then in that moment, I don't brood, because brooding will take me in another rabbit hole. So in that moment, I will say, okay, what is it? I'll try to figure out what is causing this low mood. Sometimes it's simple. It's simple because, like, you're hungry, Anna, or you're tired, or you're overexerted.
And I'm going to come back to what you think causes it. But in that moment, you said you can actually tell when it's coming. What would you describe that feeling as?
It's a very sad feeling, like a sadness. I like to use that word we used to use in literature, melancholy, emptiness. Sometimes, like nothing turns you on, nothing lights up your mood. I mean, it's very easy. I'm surrounded by lots of love every day. When you have babies, you can testify. They are beautiful. Of course, they can make you feel like also go the other side. But it feels it's really empty in that moment. And I look at them and I'm like, oh God, now I don't even want to carry my baby. I don't even want to hear her scream. I don't want everything that brings you joy. It turns out to be, it doesn't work. Nothing works in that moment. So when I recognize that is happening, I first take a step back, breathe, and be quiet. It doesn't matter where I am. If I'm at home, well and good. I'll probably remove myself a little bit and first talk to myself. Okay, Anna, you're sad, but this is just a feeling, and then it's going to pass. And many other coping mechanisms that I have a lot works. Let me tell you an example. It was actually yesterday that feeling came. It comes a lot. I think it's all this thing to do with childbirth, and for me it takes a long time. The sleep deprivation, I think that's what I can, point it to. So it comes on and I'm like, okay, I'm sad. I want people to take the child away. I want people to go. I want the TV off. I don't want to see people. You understand?
Do we put it under postpartum depression?
Mm-hmm.
It's possible, but I've never had that discussion with any doctor or therapist or friend. It's just now that I'm trying to say maybe I should talk to therapist. But it could be that. It could be also more. It could be maybe I have so much going on in my life right now in terms of issues. So it could be anything, but also it could be normal life happening, I think. Yeah.
Florence, do you have these kinds of moments? Anne says she lives in them. It's like an everyday thing almost. Yeah. Do you have those moments, Florence?
Well, sometimes I just feel sad. I just find myself feeling sad. And of course, it's because I miss home. I miss my kids. Well, none that I gave birth to biologically, but I find myself in that moment. And if I have a sibling who annoys me, although now they no longer annoy me, but there was a time when that was also like a low moment. It's a story maybe I can talk about another time. But I must say that my lowest really moment goes years back. Like when I was in my 20s, between 19 and 23, probably 24, yeah. I feel like I was at the lowest point of my life. I was practically homeless. Anna talked of, when she's feeling hungry, but I was hungry, like practically hungry. I was a hungry 20-year-old. Like I was hungry. And like I said, I was practically homeless, but found some cousins, and it was sad because practically every one of us just had to make their own food. So you can imagine if you're just cooking your own food and you have no money. So I really knew hunger, but what I can say is that I really hated it, by the way. And I hated looking at people walking around with money. Like I look at it and I'm like, wow, I wish I want my money. I would go to the stores and those ladies who sell those things on the ground, bananas, and I would get like bananas for 200. There were 6 counted out for me, and I'm like, okay, fine, I'll eat 3 for now, 3 later. And then of course you have to worry about charcoal. Like I felt like, wow, I was like, what the fuck is this happening to me? Did I just curse?
Was that at campus?
Trust me, before I started campus, I was about to join campus. And the beauty about this is that if I hadn't gotten on a government scholarship, you guys would never have met me. that's the freaking truth. I don't know where my life would be. I don't know. I can't even start thinking about that. But yeah, I guess I always push myself anyway to always work hard, always look, toward the future. So that was really a good send, and I was receiving some, scholarship. I always looked forward to free meals in Africa Hall. So it was amazing. I don't know, maybe I even asked for some people for their meal cards. I don't know, I could have. But yeah, it was the longest moment, like holidays could come. I had no money, that hunger, and looking at people having. But anyway, you know what? That hunger trained me to.
It made you who you are.
To save.
Yeah.
I'm a disciplined person when it comes to saving. It taught me how to share. And trust me right now, I never move with money because I'm always considering now I could be a hungry person who is looking at me, shoving this bill in my hand. So I already have my money tightly hidden away, because I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, someone else could be going through the same thing. They could see me with this. They could see me with this particular something. And sometimes I don't even want to walk while eating, but I've learned doing that on the streets, and someone is hungry and they're looking at you and they're imagining, So that hunger pushed me into doing a lot of things. Even before campus, I had a low moment where I went to work for I don't even know where I got that gut to just walk around a street in Nakulabi and find a job as a waitress. Like, my very first, I believe. And it was a place where people were stripping, there were strippers. And I was looking at these girls and I was, wow, is this something I can do? But then at the moment I felt like I was disgusted. Yeah, so I don't know why I never ended up, because I thought of prostitution. I thought of every freaking thing. Because, and I was saying in Nakulabi where everything was happening, there was a lot of karaoke. I was like, wow, there's so much. I thought of all things to join and do.
I think listening to you, Florence, I see the person that you've turned out to be, how you handle money. I was going to say we need to have one episode where we speak about money, and you're going to have a whole lot to say about that. But then also seeing what your heart has become, that you're constantly just sending money to people who you see need the financial support. And, I think the experiences that we go through just sort of pave the way for how we get to, where we are and the people that we become. Do you know, I think, Anne, you've mentioned some of the triggers that get you into that state. Are you able to point a finger at some of them? And you've also mentioned, I think you've said hunger, you've said, quite some things. Do you know what your triggers are?
Yeah. Mostly my triggers, when I'm tired, I'm tired a lot. Sleep deprivation. If I don't sleep well for many nights, or if I get sleep disruptions, weird dreams and stuff, then most likely my day is not going to be very nice, or my week, and especially if that happens at a time where I have to exert myself mentally and to be present for my family, make all these many decisions. Yeah, I think that's also one of the things. I have to make decisions. I am tired, and then I have outstanding work to do. Those are the main issues that I feel have been constantly bringing on that low moment. It's not this big one like for Florence that happens and that happened and at least now mine keeps coming. There are many, they are there with me. But also social media, my friends. I can be there enjoying my morning, scrolling through my timeline on Facebook, and I see something, and it's so annoying. I even literally feel my heart pump, pump, pump. And if I decide to engage now and type back things, before I know it, my mood is ruined, and then I don't even know what happened. Can you imagine? Yeah, do you feel like that? Does anyone get that social media thing?
I get the social media a lot. I know what Florence does is she just goes back and writes back to all of them, like whoever it is, When social media becomes a thing for me, I'll find that I take time away. Recently, I took 2 weeks. I just went off 2 weeks. I don't want to be on Twitter. I don't want to be on Facebook. I don't want to be on anything, because I know how dangerous it is for me. Also because I'm not going to go back and respond. I don't really believe in allowing somebody to push me into a place where I should have to reciprocate or give them my time. But if somebody says something that puts me in a place where I'm like, but where did that come from? And I usually will already have been experiencing something else. So the social media just adds to it. So I know that it's a better place for me to first take a step back, collect myself, understand, that this is really not an indication of who I am or whatever, before I come back. Yeah, social media, I don't engage. I don't engage a bully. I don't engage. I just really ignore people who are looking for a fight. I just have too many other things to spend my time on. Florence, you're laughing. I know what you do.
Although sometimes intentionally I ignore some people just to hurt them. Because
have you done
that's more painful.
Then the others are like, I'm going to give time and then give a headache maybe and disappear. And then this one, we are going to go all the way. So it's always, like that. Sometimes I just play king and all that. But anyway, going back to like our conversations and the low moments, maybe, and how we get out of them. I don't know whether
the triggers. We've not yet gotten to how you get out of them. I'm looking at the triggers.
Well, anyway, maybe I guess, historically, like my past has always triggered everything that I go through. Like sometimes I go to the field. There's a time I went to the field, I found this child at school. I look at their school while I was sleeping. Were hungry. They had these plates which were just sewn by thread. I cried in the field like a stupid baby. I just bawled my eyes out. I actually ended up practically adopting that kid, although along the way, I don't know, we lost connection and I got out of touch. But like, like every time I look at people, I look at someone hungry, I just get this feeling of, I look at the government messing up with people, not giving people food, all that. I feel like I just snap and I just get out of it and I'm like, wow, I wish I could do something.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
So does this affect your mood? Is like at home, how do you relate with your husband, your family? When you've seen all these triggers, do you carry it home or do you leave it wherever it was? How is it? I want to know.
Sometimes I start it in, sometimes I share. Like I've said, sometimes if I find myself in the field, I'm gonna cry right there. And then the cameraman, if I'm with a camera person, like Masubidi was really amazing. Would comfort me for a while. I don't know what's his name. Galiwango would just enjoy filming me all the way crying like a baby. But yes, because like from home, I sometimes wear my heart out. So yeah, my husband, he can see anything that I'm feeling, that I'm going through, and I tell him sometimes when I'm frustrated, there's a sibling disturbing me or stuff like that. Or I'm pissed off, or I'm sad, I want to see my babies. I just said I want to go home. So yeah, I have some self-talks as well.
Yeah, I think those really, really help.
Yeah, good.
My triggers, number one, yes, the internet, but not so much social media. It will be more if I start looking for information on something and then, you just keep finding too much information. So I get this information overload because I'm trying to catch up. Then I get to a place and I'm asking myself, how do I not know these things? Then I feel inadequate, realizing there's so much I don't know. So I find myself just feeling like I don't quite cut it. My other trigger would be when I feel stuck. So I'm very claustrophobic. So I can't be in a situation that makes me feel like I'm trapped in any, whether a small space or anything. If I feel like I can't get out of a situation, I just find that I freeze and I just really start to lose myself. Then I panic and then I shut down. But then also moments when you find that things are not shifting. You start out telling yourself, that something's got to give, but then, it doesn't give, at least in that moment. So you find yourself like nothing is shifting and you don't know what to do. If I lose sight of a goal or a plan I had, so usually this is because I've been online and seen something or read something that has put doubt in my head, or if someone I respect downplays what I'm trying to do. So I don't usually allow a lot of voices in my head, but the ones that I do, when they speak, I actually listen, they hit home. So I have to stop, think, but then when you stop and start thinking, getting back can be very hard. And then focusing on everyone else but myself. Yeah.
You said something there that when I was thinking, I was even thinking about this topic, and overthinking is a thing.
Yeah.
I go
through
literally overthink myself into depression. Huh?
That's true.
That thing of
sometimes I doubt myself and I'm surprised when I achieve something and I'm like, what the?
You just sort of seem to have everything together. But the thing I was saying also, when I focus on other people a lot, then I get overwhelmed and I feel inadequate because I'm not able to come through for them the way I want to. So it looks like a big failure that's staring at me. then I start asking myself, if I'm not able to be there to help the people that I, are in my space, why am I here? So I get this self-doubt. Or if I, usually it's when you feel like you can't find your purpose, like you start having questions about, why am I here if, these things have failed? So usually those are my triggers. But how do you get back? How do you get back on your feet? What do you do? How do you take yourself out of that space?
I have a lot of conversations with myself. Of course, after asking myself, why me? Why does everything happen to me? Like, why is everything bad happening to me? But I use my experiences actually to have a turnaround. For example, how did I get into NTV? By writing an essay about my freaking life, my hunger. I just wrote about, under time increased something, and I was frustrated when I was writing that essay. I described the fact that I used to buy bananas at, 200 shillings,
200 shillings.
and now I'm getting 3. I was like, what is a poor person going to do? So I used that experience really to pull myself through that. And then I stopped feeling so sorry for myself. Like, I have these doubts. And then, because even joining the NTV thing, I was like, I can't bother applying. Can I even get in? Until a friend, Jesse, Doreen's husband, just say, hey, give it a try. I was like, what am I going to lose anyway? So that's how I really push myself out.
Jesse, we want to thank you. We want to say thank you so much.
It's because of Jesse that I really came out of that. But so I've been quite a doubting Thomas in myself. Like, I've doubted myself, but everything has pushed me. Like, becoming an orphan pushed me to working so hard at school. Being hungry pushed me into working so hard at university. So I ended up even topping my class. I'm not really bragging, but I'm just telling you that I just have to push myself. I have to prove that I have to work hard. Like, I can do something. I don't want to just believe that, oh God, this is going to lead me to fail. But even if I fear failure, what can I do about it? So these conversations that I've had with myself have really pushed me. And I guess it helps having really a vision somehow and strategizing and say, okay, I have siblings as well. We are a siblings family for a longer time. I have like 4 younger ones, down below me. Are they 3? Like more even half. So like, someone has to really work hard in this family and, help.
Something has to give. Yeah.
So
for me, I try to pull myself out of there very quickly. I don't want to stay there long, because if I do, then I might end up crying through the night and waking up with very red eyes, and then I have to show up. All my babies might hear, and I don't want them to see me crying, because they will ask me, Mommy, what's wrong, or be confused. So my moments are usually short-lived, thank God, and that's also something that I tell myself, this shall pass, whatever it is. What haven't you seen, Anna? What haven't you gone through? Once I find out what is causing my low mood, I just know it's going to pass. No matter what, it's going to pass. And then if the feeling is still there, then that's when I switch to distractions. Like yesterday, there was some music on TV, and then I started dancing, silly dancing. You guys know how I dance, right?
Yes, we do.
Dada was looking at me like, what's going on here? And then she joined in, but she was just laughing. Everyone was laughing. Even my maid, everyone was laughing. Even the little baby was looking at me and thinking, has she, that kind of thing. But in a very short time, the endorphins are flowing. Is it serotonin? Those feel good hormones, and I don't know. It's like magic. It works. Try it. You should.
Yeah.
And that was it was at night. It's in a little space. You're not going to go for a walk. You're not going to. I don't have a husband like me, Lassie, where I'm going to go and get a very nice warm male hug. Oh, I missed that, I think. So so you have to use what you have, and it works. It works, and then you go, and the night is coming. You read a good book or take tea. There are so many coping mechanisms, and I think at the end of the day, everything I read and everything I do tells me, just don't dwell so much on this stuff. It's don't beat yourself out too much, because it's going to pass. And if it's Or if that it's something small that won't affect your life in 5 years, in 10 years time. So why is it consuming all your energy right now and sucking out the moment, huh? Sucking out the beautiful moments that you have before you. Yeah, you can focus on those and then move on.
Yeah. I think one of the things that I do in relation to what you do, Anne, is I usually ask myself, what's the worst that can happen?
Yeah.
Then I walk backwards from the worst that can happen is this. Okay. Am I able to face this worst situation? If I can, okay. So, fine, let's walk backwards now. But like you, I also read. But I'm learning how to sieve what I consume and just how much I can consume at a time. But also appreciating that I've come from somewhere, and I'm not where I was, a couple of years ago or a month ago when a very devastating thing might have happened and just triggered something. But just appreciating that, a month has gone by and I'm still here, I'm still alive. I give myself attention, the small things. When did I last do something for myself? The little things, like I'll just get a basin, pour in a bit of vinegar, pour in a couple of other things and soak my feet. And my child will come and also want to soak his feet. One time I just got in the car and I drove. This was about 4 years ago. About 4 years ago. I just drove and went up country and I stayed away for 3 days just to be away from everything and everyone, just to be able to collect myself together. Other times I'll go home, I'll call up someone and just hear them speak. And actually sometimes it helps me to hear somebody else's problems because it makes my mind start thinking of solutions for them. That means I'm not thinking about my situation. So then I jump up and I start problem solving for them. I take walks. I really like to walk. So what I've been doing during this lockdown has been walking home and walking to work. And I usually have music in my ears. That's very dangerous though, because now I realized about 3 times in doing that, I've been followed, and then there's that danger. So I practically then find myself having to, so I'm walking to calm myself, but now the adrenaline, because I know you're being followed. So you're running until I get to like Kira Road Police and I first pause there because I know they're not coming. But the other thing that works for me,
scary,
right? Yeah, it's scary. So I've put a pause on that. I write. I really like to write. I think it's therapy. That's what my teacher told me in school, and it gives me some kind of healing. But then I realized that sometimes you write and somebody else is helped by what you write, and that just sort of makes you feel like you're doing something right. And I think those little boosts of positivity that you're able to give yourself can also do wonders. I was talking to a lady, a friend of mine recently, and she was just speaking to me about what she does. She's gone through a horrible time with depression, anxiety, and all of that. And she got to a point of cutting herself, suicide attempts, all of that. And she was just talking to me about this period during the lockdown. She'll wake up in the morning. She's not going anywhere. She's not leaving the house. But she's going to wake up, put a full face of makeup, dress up, and just, I said, you're going to walk around the house like that? Yeah. I think there's something in being able to feel good and confident about yourself. So I think a lot of things happen or work for different people. My last question as we close. You have kids, Florence, your adopted children or soon to be adopted children, and your kids, if they come to you and say, or you go to wake them up in the morning and they say, I can't do today, I really can't, I'm tired, I don't see the point in life anymore, what are you going to tell them? And
usually I know how to recognize my child's low. I can tell when she is stressed, when she's feeling low. So I give them like a hug. Usually they want attention. They want you to listen. So and then encourage them to get out of bed. Usually they get out of bed. So I listen to them. What is it? What is it? Are they tired? Are they hungry? Are they scared? Did the teacher do something the day before that they don't want to go back to school for? So you listen. Yeah. I listen to them. I'm there. When I'm there, usually she will wake up and go. So in future, I'll listen still and give a hug and ask her to talk to me.
I hope you're cultivating that relationship for her talking to you in future. But you said something earlier and you were judging yourself for being
I hope so.
You were judging yourself for being a bad mom because you just had moments where I can't deal, children first walk away. And I don't think that you're a bad mother. I just want to put it out there so no one thinks we let it go.
So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think you're a really great mom. Even just being able to understand your child and know that these are their needs, or they just need that affection. Florence, what are you going to tell them?
I can just tell them, if they have fears and failures, fears, pain, they just need to really embrace them, because this has motivated me, it has pushed me forward, and it can do it for them as well. I would encourage them, of course, to set goals, have visions, do what you've just said, and I consider that as having a theory of change. Work backwards, like this is what I want to achieve it. What do I have to do to achieve what I have to do? What do I do? Where do I start from? Working that backwards and seeing that you can get through anything. And this really helps build resilience in you over time, and you get over it. And one time my niece Lynette was scared, really. Like one time I told her about the period. I had the period talk with her, and she was reading this book and was saying the period can start between 8 and that time. And then after all that, I told her, okay, what's your age? Say, 8. And she started crying, and I told her, don't worry, I've had the worst experience, and you'll also get through this. So yeah, it's good to share your experiences with them and tell them that you get there, you'll be fine, don't worry, embrace the pain, embrace the fear, to keep you motivated.
All right. As we close, I just want to say, first of all, I'm thankful for the friendship that I have with you guys, because I think that's one of the saving graces that I have, that I have people to talk to who might think I'm extremely serious and tough, but they take me as I am. But also for me, what I would say is life is a lot about effort, making conscious decisions to do, but also ensuring that you have a support group, good friends who will actually know you enough to find you, but also to ask you if you're really okay, friends that can stage an intervention if needed, and ask for help. It's very important to ask for help. So I guess we ask each other for help. Sometimes we'll just talk to each other, not directly, but we talk to each other, and I'm glad for that. So thank you so much, ladies. It's been nice speaking.
It's been amazing.
I've learned so much from you guys from this conversation.
It has been amazing. And guys, I must say that anyone who has been viewing, we shall look at your comments, we shall address them. And please follow us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, go to our Instagram page. Yes, let's have these conversations. And feel free to send us a video sharing your own views, or just write it out. Why not?